Well, thanks for joining us today on Monday Mastery. We're talking about time mastery or mastering your time. We're talking about living intentionally. We're talking about being very wise with how you steward that which is of value. Last week we talked about the value of time and we equated that to actual salaries or income or dollar figures just as an example. And so we also dealt with the idea, do we spend our time or do we think intentionally and do we invest our time? Now, what I want to talk to you about in this segment specifically is time wasters. Now, I'm going to step on some toes today. I may make some of you kind of mad, but that's okay. You can love me later, all right? I want to tell you that many of us allow ourselves to be manipulated with things that draw on our emotions, the things that draw on our desires, our appetites. And these things, once they form as habits and we just kind of default into these activities, we actually, without realizing it, begin to waste so much time that we devalue our life, devalue our development because we are spending time, not investing time. Let me give you a few examples, okay? How can we live without the internet? You're watching this today more than likely on YouTube or on my website, so you're on the internet, all right? So there are ways to invest time by learning and growing on the internet. So I'm not knocking the internet, but I will tell you this. Most people spend a couple of hours a day surfing the web, just going from link to link, story to story, ad to ad. And before you know it, you begin just spending 4, 5, or 6 minutes, maybe 8 or 10 or 12, maybe even an hour or two, just surfing around, checking out this ad, this picture, and Miley Cyrus did this. Who gives a rip? You know, all this stuff. We actually chase down things that appeal to our appetites, I suppose. The internet can be a time waster. How about one related to the internet, but how about social media? Now, I believe in social media if it's used properly. But let me tell you what, so many people spend hours on Facebook every night. Okay, I get on to my wife every now and then. She's gotten much better. She's actually kind of severed this whole deal in her life because she recognized what a time waster it was. But she used to lay in bed at night and spend the last 30 minutes she was awake scrolling through her wall to see what people ate for dinner. Who cares what somebody else had for dinner? I mean, it's wonderful to see pictures, wonderful to see that people's kids growing up. I get all that. But if you're not careful, social media can be a time waster. Another one. This one just gets me. It's a personal pet peeve of mine. So just listen up here. I absolutely I get so aggravated with texting, okay? LOL, LMBO. Ba, 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 ba. And I watch kids, especially teenagers and college students, just constantly going with their thumbs, texting back and forth, and they're saying nothing, but they get engaged in meaningless conversations. And you spend, if you add it all up in a day, you might spend 30 minutes, an hour a day, wasting time in meaningless texting and conversations. Phone conversations the same way, gossip, all these things. Hey, how about television being a time waster? Now, I used to be this guy who had about 6 or 7 crime shows and suspense thrillers that I used to like to watch, and I've whittled it down now to where I watch about an hour or two of television a week. That's all I allow myself just to escape because I cannot afford, listen to me, talk about the value of time. I cannot afford to waste time or spend time on something that's not building me up. Occasionally, I like to escape. Shoot, man, this coming week, 24, Jack is back, baby, and I'm going to be watching Jack for 12 hours, okay? Because I love the show 24. But I'll allow myself a window, but I'm not going to get sucked into wasting time on television. I've already mentioned in a previous episode that we spend 10 to 12, sometimes 15 to 20 hours a week in front of the television in mindless activity. How about video games? This is not as big as it used to be, but kids are still very involved in video games. Mostly now it's on their smartphones and on devices they carry in their hands. All I'm saying is there's all kinds of things that we can do to fill our time. But I want to ask you, how are you investing your time? If you're wasting time, time is something you can never get back. Once it has gone, you can't grab it back and undo the wasted time you have spent. So I want to challenge you today. Take an inventory. Do a time inventory. How do you spend your time each week? How do you actually invest time? What are you blocking time for? And look at your life from the context of the value of time, and look at time wasters and shore that up. All right, because you want to actually steward the value of time in your life. My name is Brian Holmes. Thanks for joining us on this episode. We'll see you again very, very soon.